Hello guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Hit the bell icon button so that you don't miss out any tutorial.
Okay, welcome to section 2. We'll take a look at how we can prepare documents for review. In our first lecture, it's about setting tracking options. We'll take a look at how to set these tracking options, what these are, how do you track changes within your document, and everything that you need to know about this tracking option feature. Very powerful feature, so let's jump right in and take a look. Before I do, I'm going to open up my document with some random text. So let's see back to our document that we've been using earlier. Here's just a sample document. Our review tab shows us our tracking options under the tracking group. Okay, so we'll take a look at tracking group and also the comment group area. Okay, so these two are option features that we'll take a look at, okay, in this tutorial. All right, what this does is it simply allows you to track changes within your document. Okay, so whatever you do to this document, Word 2013 is going to keep track. If someone else does any changes, Word 2013 is going to keep track based on their author name. Okay, so if you have multiple individuals working on the same document making changes, all of them can be tracked by Word 2013. The way you bring up some of these options is by clicking on the bottom right side of the tracking group, and it pops up a dialog box called Track Changes Options dialog box. Here you can set some preliminary options. How do you want to track changes? For instance, what do you want to show on your document? You want to show comments, ink, insertions, deletions, formatting, pictures by comments. And notice how some of these options are not available because there are no other authors. So right now I'm just the only one working on it, and that's how they're dimmed. Okay, so let's take a look at what will balloons show in all markup view. Okay, so it's going to show all the comments and formatting that I do, or just the revisions, or nothing. Okay, and we'll explore that, and you'll see how each of this option affects our document. Whether we want our review pane to be on vertical or horizontal. The review pane shows you all the changes that you made step by step within a document, okay, and some advanced option and change username. Okay, let's come back to this. Okay, so we'll take a look at, once you see everything in action, it's much easier to take a look at what each of these options do to our document. So I'm going to cancel out of here. The first thing I have to do is just, before I keep track changes, I'm going to click track changes, and notice how it highlights this option, and I can begin my editing within this document. Okay, so let's say I want to delete this space. I like to make the Asian Development Bank bold. Let's say I like the economic in italic. And notice I'm using the keyboard shortcuts. Okay, so Control B for bold and Control I for italic. Okay, you can always use the option here under your Home tab. Okay, but learning shortcuts is good. Okay, what do we see now? What Word does, it simply keeps track of all the changes that I've made so far. Okay, so I've made essentially the font changes or the italic changes. On the right side, you'll see the name and then what was changed. Okay, now notice this name here that you see is exactly the same as my online account at Microsoft. What if I want to change this? So let's say I wish not to use the same Microsoft account. I want to use my initials only, or my first name only. Okay, I go up to my track changes tracking group and bring up my options. Here I can change the username. So that's one of the first things that we'll see is how to change the username. So let's do that. So let's click on change username, and it brings me the Word options dialog box. And under general options, I can see how I can personalize my copy of Microsoft Office. So here I've set this username to be Syed, and my initials are SR. Once I select this option, always use these values regardless of signing into Office. Whatever I do now is going to use this name. So it's not going to use my online Microsoft name. It's going to use this name that I enter here. And what's important here is to note that this name is going to be used in other Microsoft Office programs also. So if I use PowerPoint, Excel, Microsoft Access, this name will be used as my username in those programs as well. Okay, so that's something that you want to know in the back of your mind for exam purposes or otherwise. Okay, so let's say I want to change this. Simply check this box and I click OK. OK again. And now if I make change to any of this, let's say I want to make the word bank bold, and boom, it shows my name that I've just set under options. Another way to get to these options where I can change my name is go to File, Options, and it brings me the same Word dialog box. So a couple of ways. You can do it to File, or you can do it directly from your tracking options. Okay, so I'm going to cancel out of here. Okay, what change do we see? We see a red and a blue. Okay, so red was changed by my earlier name, and the blue version now Word says, well, wait a minute here. Is the new author, is a different author, use a different name, so I'm going to color it differently. Okay, then you can set these color options under advanced options that we'll see in a moment. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is how to view these track changes. So for instance, if I go up to my tracking group again, right now I have displayed all markup option, which means I can see everything on my document, all the changes that I made. If I need to see just a simple markup, it will show me the entire document and only the line on the left in red, which shows that there are some changes. Okay, I can also take a look at no markup. So if I just want to keep making changes, but I don't want to see all these lines and comments and so forth, I can select this option. Or I can see the original document, okay, with no changes at all. Notice here what's important is that even though I'm seeing the original document, that does not mean that this document that does not contain any changes. Okay, so this document does contain all the changes, and the only way to get out of this document is either to accept these changes or reject these changes that I've made. Okay, so just because you see the original document doesn't mean that it doesn't have any changes. Okay, so this does have changes. Okay, back to our all markup. Another way to quickly change the view is by looking at these lines on the left side outside the margin. And here's my margin, so it's on the left side of the margin. I can also take my cursor and click on any of these lines, and it will show me it'll hide whether simple markup or all markup. Okay, so notice how it changes here. So a couple of ways you can change the view as to how you view the document. We can also change the settings of this shortcut. Okay, so for example, let me go back to our tracking group options, change tracking options. I can go to advanced options. Here, let me make it in the middle. Changed lines options tells me that right now I've set it as an outside border. So all these changed lines would show outside my border, or showing outside my border. If I need to view it on the right border, and notice how Word displays the preview for me, all I have to do is just select the right border option and click OK. And notice my lines are now on the right side of the border. And it serves the same purpose. Just click to hide and click to show. Alright, next thing I'm going to show you is how to work with comments. So under our comments group up in the ribbon, this is a very nice way to work with Word 2013 and keep track of various comments that you make. So for instance, if I need to put a comment here somewhere, implementation problems, okay? So I'm just going to insert a comment here after problems. I go up to my new comment and insert a comment simply, and Word inserts a comment for me. Okay, so the powerful feature that Word 2013 here has, that I can insert as many comments as I want, and Word keeps track of each of these comments within the same box. Okay, so same balloon keeps tracks of all my comments that I made regarding this particular word, problems, or any other words that I select. Okay, so for instance, if I need to insert a comment, please make this bold. Okay, oops. bold. Okay, and I've inserted a comment here. So let's say I want to insert another comment here. So I just simply, within my comment box, I can insert a new comment. Also make this italic. Okay. So a very nice way, a powerful feature in Word 2013 is that it keeps track of comments within the same box as you work with the changes within these documents. Okay, the reviewing pane is just how you want to view all these changes that you made. So for example, if I bring up my vertical view on the left side of the screen, you'll see that Word shows me that I've made 6 revisions in total. I've deleted 1 text, and I've made 3 formatting changes, and I've inserted 2 comments. And below here details out as to what changes have been made, which are essentially the same as on the right side of the screen. But this is a step-by-step way or a sequential manner where you can see all the changes. So it's a good way to also take a look at while you're reviewing these documents and keep track of the changes. So I can close this, and I can always bring it back up when I go to my review vertical or horizontal pane. If I want to see it horizontally, it displays on the bottom of my screen. Okay, so we've taken a look at some of these options here. Again, if I don't wish to see comments, for example, I can uncheck this box and Word is going to hide the comments. So again, just working with options as to how I want these changes to be displayed. All right, let's move on to a little bit more advanced options here. A couple of other things that I want to show you is how you can simply set various options in Word, how to track changes. So for instance, notice how when I delete text, deleted this text, for example, how it shows as strike through. Okay, so for instance, if I want to have all my deleted text or whatever text I delete to be shown as a number sign, okay, for example. So I just select the number sign, click OK, and let's say I want to delete the combined documents. Notice how it displays a number sign for me. So just different options, the way you want it to be. Sometimes working with large documents or a lot of editing, you may want to use smaller options like placing a number sign, which would imply that this text was deleted. If it's a small document, you can use a strike through so users can see. So it just depends on the environment that you're working with within Microsoft Word 2013. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of more advanced options here that may be very, very helpful when you work with tracking changes. So for instance, here one of the options is track moves. So for example, if I move text from one area to the other, or one line to the next, or one paragraph to the other paragraph, Word is going to use the double strike through for the moved from text, and the moved to text will be displayed as double underline. And the color is set by author, which is blue in this case for myself, for the new name, for my new display name here. Okay. So let's see how that's done. So I'm just going to leave this option, double strike through and double underline for now. And again, you can change any of these options the way you want them to be, double underline, underline, italic, and so forth. Okay. Okay, so I click OK. Let's say I want to change, I want to move, for example, this sentence. Okay, so I'm going to highlight it. The shortcut of highlighting a sentence in Word is holding down your Control key and clicking on the sentence. Okay, so a couple of pointers here for you. If you need to select a word, for example, the word first, if I double click, it's going to select the word for me. Okay, if I click 3 times, it's going to select the paragraph for me. Okay, but how do you select just a sentence? You hold down the Control key on your keyboard and click once on any sentence that you would like to select, just like this. Okay, so a couple of tips I wanted to show you. Very, very handy when you're working with documents or large documents. Okay, all right, so I'm going to highlight this text, which I did, and simply drag it to end of this paragraph. Okay, and notice how Word simply changed the double strike through to underline, and that's how the options are set in my tracking options. Okay, so very powerful feature, tracking changes You can work with them. You can set all kinds of different options the way you want them to be. So once you have these changes, how do we accept them or reject them? So let's say the user made some changes, sent you the document, and now you're looking at it. Okay, you're reviewing the document. In our changes group, we have options such as accept the changes or reject the changes. Okay, and previous next is simply will take you from one change to the next. Okay, so let's say I'm reviewing the document. My first change I'd like to accept, which is Asian Development Bank. And I simply click accept and accept the change for me. Okay, I can go to my next change and Word highlights my next change. This is something that I deleted. Okay, so if I like to accept it, Word automatically moves to the next change. If I like to reject this change and I don't want this to be italic, I can click reject and it will default to the standard text the way it was earlier. So I hope this clarifies the setting tracking options.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, do give us a thumbs up and share it. Also check out amazing discounts and offers on our premium courses in the description below.